A few weeks ago, two strangers entered our solar system. One came blazing through the sun's glare. The other appeared quietly behind it, as if following a signal we couldn't hear. Scientists say they're just comets. But what if these two visitors were never meant to be random? The new object was soon named C 2025 V1 Borisov, discovered by a familiar name in cosmic history, the same astronomer who had once spotted the interstellar visitor 2I Borisov back in 2019. But this new object was different. It appeared in our skies only days after another cosmic wanderer, the mysterious 3I Atlas, made its closest pass by the Sun. Two strange visitors, arriving almost together, one clearly interstellar, one almost pretending to be. Coincidence or something much deeper? For weeks, scientists compared their data, puzzled by the timing. Both objects showed unusual behavior, no clear tails, unexpected acceleration, odd light curves. To some, it felt like watching two messages arrive from deep space, back to back. But what made them truly fascinating wasn't just their origin, it was the possibility that the two might be connected, as if part of the same story unfolding across billions of kilometers. And this story was only beginning. When news of the second discovery broke, the astronomy community froze for a moment. The first question was simple: how could two strange visitors appear in the same season, from opposite corners of the sky? Borisov's path was steep, tilted at an angle of 113 degrees from the plane of our solar system. It didn't glide like most comets that orbit the sun in neat, predictable loops. No, this one sliced across space like an intruder cutting through invisible traffic lanes. And its orbit was almost perpendicular to that of 3I Atlas, as if the two were tracing different sides of a single, invisible geometry. At first, scientists thought Borisov's new object might be interstellar too. Its orbit was slightly hyperbolic, a shape that usually means unbound by the sun's gravity. But the numbers didn't lie. Its eccentricity, 1.0095, was just barely above 1. A small gravitational tug, perhaps from Jupiter or another planet, could easily make it seem more foreign than it actually was. Still, that didn't explain the timing. It appeared right after 3I Atlas had passed through its most mysterious phase, its perihelion, the closest point to the Sun. Some astronomers whispered, what if Borisov's new object wasn't random? What if 3I Atlas had released something? It was a wild thought, a stretch of imagination. But so was Oumuamua once, until its behavior broke every rule in the book. And when scientists compared the trajectories of both objects, they found something else that deepened the mystery. The two orbits, at one point in time, had come within just 75 million kilometers of each other. In cosmic terms, that's practically a handshake. 75 million kilometers. That number alone started a quiet storm of speculation. If the two objects weren't related, then the universe had pulled off a remarkable coincidence. But if they were connected, then something extraordinary was happening just beyond our cosmic backyard. Researchers turned to the data once again. They traced the orbits backward in time, running simulations across centuries. What they found only added fuel to the mystery. When 3I Atlas had passed near the Sun, it had shown no visible tail, yet it released several jets, bursts of material shooting out in random directions. Some jets were faint, others strong enough to alter its motion, but the odd thing was, the total acceleration didn't quite match the amount of material being ejected. If the object were a natural comet, its outgassing should have explained the movement completely, but it didn't. The math didn't add up. A few voices, quiet, cautious, began asking the unthinkable. What if it wasn't natural at all? Could 3I Atlas be something else? Something artificial? To test that, Astronomers needed to know more: the velocity, the composition, the type of gases coming out of its jets. That's where the James Webb Space Telescope entered the picture. Webb began observing 3I Atlas's spectrum, searching for clues in its light. What it found was odd: too much carbon dioxide, too little water, and traces of hydrogen cyanide that spiked suddenly over weeks. These were not the fingerprints of a normal comet. By this time, 3I Atlas had already passed the Sun and was heading outward, but its story wasn't over. Because now, as it faded from view, another object, C 2025 V1 Borisov, quietly entered the same region of space, almost as if it were following in its footsteps. At first, scientists dismissed the timing as pure coincidence. After all, space is vast, and comets appear all the time. But the pattern was hard to ignore. 3I Atlas had just survived its closest pass to the Sun on the 29th of October 2025, and barely 2 days later, a new object appeared in the sky. It was as if the universe had flipped a page, revealing the next chapter before anyone was ready. By early November, telescopes across the world turned their gaze towards C 2025 V1 Borisov. It behaved strangely calm, no clear tail, no intense brightening, and its orbit cut across the solar system at a bizarre angle, as though it had entered from a completely different dimension of motion. But when scientists compared the orbital data of both objects, something subtle yet profound stood out. The two had never been closer than 225 million kilometers from each other. That's far by human standards, but in celestial terms, it's the kind of distance that could be bridged if an object had propulsion. This single detail lit up debates everywhere. Could 3I Atlas have used some form of non-gravitational propulsion to release smaller fragments? Could C 2025 V1 be one of them? Or were they just two unrelated travelers' cosmic coincidences that only seemed to whisper the same story? The more scientists looked, the more the universe refused to give straight answers. The non-gravitational acceleration of 3I Atlas wasn't enough to prove it was artificial, but it also wasn't natural enough to dismiss the idea completely. And when new images from the Virtual Telescope project revealed 7 active jets bursting from 3I Atlas, all in opposing directions, one question echoed through every lab and observatory: what kind of object behaves like this, yet remains perfectly intact? By mid-November 2025, 3I Atlas was back in the headlines. After weeks hidden behind the Sun, the mysterious traveler had reappeared in the pre-dawn sky, faint, ghostly, and yet strangely alive. Telescopes from Hawaii to Chile locked on, eager to witness what it had become after surviving its fiery encounter. What they found only deepened the puzzle. Instead of fading quietly, 3I Atlas had brightened dramatically, glowing far more intensely than any comet at that distance should. Its brightness didn't follow the usual rule of sunlight reflection. It scaled with distance to the Sun in a way no natural body ever had before. And its light appeared bluer than expected, an eerie hue that baffled observers. Comets are supposed to grow redder as they heat up. Dust scatters sunlight and gives them that familiar golden tone. But 3I Atlas refused to obey. It gleamed like a frozen shard of sapphire drifting through the void. Meanwhile, data from the James Webb Space Telescope revealed chemical ratios that didn't make sense: too much carbon dioxide, traces of exotic compounds rarely found together, and inconsistent levels of outgassing. Some researchers quietly suggested this could be engineered behavior, like a controlled release, rather than a chaotic eruption. Others dismissed it as coincidence, the result of unknown physics acting on interstellar ice. But even skeptics couldn't ignore one truth: 3I Atlas wasn't behaving like a comet. And as December approached the month it would come closest to Earth, just days before Christmas, astronomers prepared for what might be their last and most revealing chance to uncover its secrets. Because if there was any connection between 3I Atlas and C 2025 V1 Borisov, the skies of December might finally tell us. As the days passed after December 19th, the data poured in like cosmic whispers, silent, yet filled with meaning. Every spectrum, every light curve, every pixel from Webb and Hubble seemed to tell a fragment of a larger story. By late December, 3I Atlas began to fade, drifting slowly away from the sun, carrying its secrets back into the darkness. Its once brilliant glow dimmed to a quiet shimmer. But it had already changed how we look at interstellar visitors forever. C. 2025. V1 Borisov followed its own path, too calm, steady, unbothered, a traveler that had entered our solar system, shared its brief message, and was now heading home. And yet, one question still hung in the silence of space. Were they ever truly separate? The official data said there was no solid proof. Their orbits never crossed directly. Their chemical compositions weren't identical. There was no clear signal or sign of control. But for many who spent sleepless nights studying their every motion, the timing, the symmetry, and the echoes between them were too perfect to ignore. Maybe they were never meant to be understood as connected in a mechanical sense. Maybe the connection was something deeper, a cosmic coincidence designed to remind us that we still know so little about what passes through our corner of the galaxy. When scientists look up now, they no longer see random streaks of light. They see possibilities, questions that could change everything we believe about life and intelligence beyond Earth. 3I Atlas came and went like a ghost, whispering through the void. C. 2025, V1 followed, silent and graceful, and together, whether by fate or by design, they left humanity staring once again into the great cosmic ocean, filled with awe, filled with wonder, and perhaps, for the first time in a long time, feeling watched back. The story of 3I Atlas and C 2025 V1 may have ended, but our search for answers never does. If this mystery made you wonder too, hit the like button, subscribe, and do you think 3I Atlas and C 2025 V1 Borisov are connected? Or are we just seeing patterns where none exist? And let me know in the comments.